Hey, welcome to this video. So, what is best way to prevent software failures? No guesses required. The answer is to test it as much as possible and as early as possible. So came the software testing into the whole picture of software development life cycle. So testing can be started from early on during the requirements gathering phase. Software testing can start early in the software development life cycle. This actually helps to find and eliminate the issues in the whole product before it is even developed, which actually helps, and the issues does not snowball into more bigger issues which later becomes more costlier and involves a lot of effort to fix and deploy in the production environment. In this video we will go through what it is all about, the software testing or the QA testing. Why do companies need a QA engineers? So we'll go through each of the topics related to software testing. Let me put it down in this notepad, each of the points that we will cover in this video session. We'll see what is QA testing or software testing, why companies or organizations need QA testing team or QA engineers, what are the types of QA testing which a QA engineer should be aware of, what skill set you need to start a career in QA, or what skill set you would need to become a QA engineer. And then we will also see, is there still a scope of manual testing or manual software testing in this current market? And then finally we will see, is there still jobs out there in the market for a QA engineer, be it manual testing or automation engineer, but do we really have those jobs so that you can start preparing or thinking about moving into software testing and related jobs? So let us look into answering what actually is QA testing in the first place. So well, just for somebody who is new to QA engineering or who wants to start a career in QA as a QA engineer, the definition, like what is QA testing or what is software testing, the definition is varied. It depends upon person to person. And the most commonly used answer for this would be QA testing is all about finding bugs or defects. So I'll note it here. So whenever you face a question in any interview or any discussion, you can just throw in this: QA is all about finding bugs or defects in the software. So this is okay, but it doesn't explain the whole thing. This one statement doesn't explain the whole thing or whole picture about software testing. So you can take the better explanation like, it is a process of executing the software system to determine whether it matches the required specifications and executes in its intended environment. It is actually testing the functionality and correctness of the software by executing it. So that's quite a long description, but then the whole idea behind software testing is to check that the software that the developers have built is matching the required specifications or the requirements document. So that's the whole gist or summary of software, how you can define a software testing. Now the next question comes is, why do we need to do that? What is the purpose of software testing? So purpose of software testing. So what is the purpose of software testing? The simple answer would be to measure the quality of the software. You know, you cannot test the full software, any kind of software. You cannot test all the features. You will keep on finding bugs or the others or something else in the whole product, and it's going to be a never-ending task of testing any kind of software. So you have to cut short of the testing based on the time and based on the requirements document that is defined. So to improve the quality and reliability by detecting and removing the fault or the issues in the software product before it goes to the customer. So finally, if you try to Google it, you will actually find 10,000 different answers. But in summary, or if any interviewer or somebody you are talking with us or during your team discussion, you can say basically that we test to check if the system is doing what it is intended to be done. So if you don't have clear specifications or requirements defined before the whole software testing process starts, you can actually stop testing and actually do something else. So that's the whole idea of software testing. So let us go to the next point and see, why do companies need QA engineer or QA testing team? There's a whole team of software testers in any project or any organization you will see. So they need QA engineers. So but why do they need it? So to answer that, companies need QA or quality checks to understand the quality and reliability of the system. So as I was saying, you cannot test the whole thing. You need to understand where your product stands in respect to the quality and reliability of the system. Okay, so once it is delivered to the customer, and if you find some problems or defects, it will be really costly to fix those defects. Maybe the company or the customer company will ask a lot of compensation because of that issues, because of those defects. There are many examples out there where software faults have caused huge dollars to the companies, but we're not going through that. It will be waste of discussion. We can just Google it and find so many such examples. So let's try to understand first why software fault occurs in the first place. So why faults occurs. So if we are able to understand why fault occurs, then we'll be able to understand why companies need QA engineers. So one of the main reasons behind software faults or the defects is the requirements or the specifications are not clear. So you can just put it down here. Requirements not defined, not clearly defined. So requirements are not clearly defined, or the specifications are not properly defined. They are not written properly, or actually not, or are not communicated well to the developer team, or developer team didn't understand the specifications properly. From my personal experience, I can say that if specifications are fully detailed and developers team is able to understand it properly, then 80% of the bugs will be reduced then and there itself. Also, if you are able to start finding bugs in the requirement stage itself, while reading the requirements and trying to understand then and there itself, then you would be helping a lot in resolving the issues in the first hand. The next point would be that software is actually created by humans, and people surely do make mistakes due to various reasons. Anyway, so the idea is that softwares are created by humans and people do make mistakes. The other point to note here is design problem. So before starting to code, developers need a good design of the system. There are various things here, not only the whole system design, but we have to have chalked out each and every component designed properly, including the DB tables if databases are used, for example. So to summarize, why do companies need software QA engineers? So it is because softwares are likely to have faults because people are building them. So that's about why faults occur in software. There can be more other reasons, but I guess this would definitely give you the starter to explore if you are really interested. Next, the subsequent points are specifically to understand why companies need QA. Let me just put it underneath the above. Next is to learn about the reliability of the product, which in our case is the software. Next is to prove that the software has no faults. Prove that. So most of the time we see that the customers usually ask what are the set of test cases that was run on this solution or on this product. They would like to see the set of test cases and all, is so that it has been tested properly or not, what are the issues the product is having and such other things before finally doing the deployment of that product in production. So we need to send those set of test cases to the customers. So if you have already tested that product and all, if you have already tested that software, so you will be able to prove that the software has no faults, or it has some faults, but those will be fixed in a later version or something like of that sort. You can prove it. And then of course the other point is because software failures can be very expensive. As I was saying, the cost of software increases once we move ahead in the process of software development cycle, and the cost of issues or defects becomes multifold once it's already deployed in production. So these are some of the points why companies need to have QA engineers or QA team within their organization or within the software development team. Okay, so next we'll look into what are the types of QA testing. So QA testing can be broadly classified into two major types. One is called the functional testing and the other is called non-functional testing. We can do a Google search and then we will see what are the different types of QA testing which comes under each of these broad categories. Types of testing. And if we go to images and we can see, let's look into one of this. So here, this one's a good example in here. So we can see the types of software testing is functional testing and non-functional testing. So under functional testing, you can see the different types of testing like unit testing or integration, where you integrate the different components of the product, of the whole solution or the product. Say for example, you have different pieces of components, like for example, you have a DB and then you have a web server, and you try to integrate everything and test it, the whole solution. That's what you can define in integration testing. And then there is a whole set of tests called the system test. You can broadly define some of your tests as system testing, the whole system you are testing, and then interface testing, user acceptance testing. This is, by the way, not the whole list of functional testing. There are many of them, which you can Google it and you will get. You don't need to know all of them. You can actually just learn some of the main points, like what is smoke testing, what is unit testing, what is installation testing. So those are the terms which you need to know before go to get an interview or planning to work in any software testing team. Under the non-functional testing, where you will see the installation testing, the performance, you can do the security testing. Just a point to note here that not all software testing team or all organizations or all the products don't need to test all these different types of testing. It's all based on the requirements document or whatever customer is asking. You have to follow that process or follow those different types of testing based on the needs. So but the most important ones are the functional testing. At least the functionality of the whole product should be working fine, or whatever is specified in the requirements document or the requirements specification document should be fine. Those are the main points which should be noted during a software testing project. So let me write down here. It can be classified into two main categories here. One is functional testing, and the other one is non-functional testing. Okay, so apart from this, you might have also heard about black box testing and white box testing or unit testing. So black box testing is the whole software is actually kind of a black box. You don't know anything about the code, you just test the functionality of the product. That's what is black box testing. And the white box testing, which in most cases is done by the developers, is where you write unit test for your code. You are testing the software code using another set of unit test or another set of codes. So that's what is the difference between black box testing and white box testing. Also, you might have heard about manual testing and automation testing. Manual testing you can do when you are doing a black box testing and you are doing it manually. It is called manual testing. You are not using any tools or any code to test that whole application. Then in that case, it is called as a manual testing. And automation testing is you are writing code or you're using some tools to test solution or the product, then it is called as automation testing. We can go through that in a different video. Let me know in the comment section if you would like to have a video session on that. That's all in this video. I hope it was helpful to you. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll cover the remaining points in the next video. So thank you and see you there.